In today's episode of HR Visionaries, we talk to Charlotte from Taiwa. We talk about what HR and software development have in common. Stay tuned. Welcome to HR Visionaries, where we unlock the secrets of modern HR. I'm Benjamin, your host. Join us as we shed light on today's HR universe with HR leaders and innovators from across the globe. Whether you're an HR pro, a business leader, or just curious about the future of work, this is your shortcut to the forefront of HR innovation. Brought to you by Hyrd, the AI talent attraction platform. Welcome to the first episode of eight. There you go, right? So, no, of course not the first. Welcome to the latest episode of HR Visionaries. I'm very much looking forward to my guest today, Charlotte. It's great to have you.
Thank you, and thanks for having me.
Charlotte, can you tell us a bit about yourself? Who are you?
So, I'm Charlotte, and I'm Danish. I have been living 2.5 years almost in Berlin, Germany. So my experience in HR started back in, I think it was 2003 or 4. I come with a technical education into one of the largest telco companies in Denmark. But very, very fast, I moved into a HR function, or at least a support function. Coming with a technical background education into HR seems a bit strange. However, organizations and people are actually structured and function in some small systems, and it's also acting like this. So I could actually use my education very surprisingly very much in this field. So I started there in a support function that was taking care of a technical support center, quite big. I think we were something between 1,500 and 2,000 employees distributed on 15 locations. So quite a lot of complexity. So in this support function, we were recruiting a lot of people. We were also saying goodbye to a lot of people, and we educated them. Besides this, we also took care of the whole setup around facilitating a function, a support function for our customers. There, I saw that it was going fast, and they actually didn't have very efficient processes for getting people out very in a very structured way, and also in regards of educating them. So I built this whole setup for this. Actually, they're still using elements of it even today, even it's about 20 years ago. So I must have done something right. Even though time changed and a lot of people have come and went since my time there, but that was definitely my technical background in how do I create very good processes around all these tasks that you have to handle in an efficient way. From there, I was there for I think about 4 years, and in such a large company, also you can imagine in a technical company, a lot happened. When I started there, we were still using ISDN modems, and
a long time ago,
broadband came and so forth. So a lot of things happened on the technical side. So the company underwent a lot of change and transformation during the time I was there. And of course, also they changed the setup and merged some department and so forth. So this function I was in actually stopped after 4 years. Then I was a team lead, completely traditional leader, taking care of a team of, I think I had about 40 employees. However, I've been in a function where I had a very holistic responsibility. So it didn't fit me very well, just sitting in a very narrow responsibility area. So I went to the group function, as we said, close to God. So there I was working with the executives of the company. Keep in mind, this is a company where we at this time were about 15, 20,000 people. So it was a very, very big company. We were also in multiple countries. So a very complex organization on many levels. So I had quite some years there. I think I were there for 7 or 8 years, working on a lot of responsibilities. So I think that my experience is that a lot of HR people, especially in the group function, they're very specialized. I am a generalist, so I know a lot about a lot of the HR specialities. I'm not necessarily a very deep expert on everything, but over time I also realized that being a generalist is some kind of speciality, right? So knowing how everything is connected is a speciality in itself.
Indeed. Well, Charlotte, I was wondering. So you mentioned before you had a technical background before moving, or when you moved into HR. What did drive your decision back then?
Yeah, so I was never. So my education is developing software basically and databases and things like that. But I only have the education. I never worked as so. And my entry to the company were also in a technical position. So and I was very young and very bold and and it was an organization that were very dynamic, and I saw a lot of people come and go. And then I went into to the guy who had the responsibility for this, and then I told him how he should do it instead. And then he said, and I came there, I didn't have any background for knowing how to do this, and then I had even made a very fine presentation for him, telling him how to run his business. And
which people most of the time very much like, right?
Huh?
Which is something people very much like if you tell them how to run their business.
yeah, but he said, get out of my office. and then I said, yeah, okay, fine. And I did, and I gave him the presentation, and then he came some weeks later. He was thinking and looking at it, and then he said, yeah, maybe I would like to offer you a position. So yeah, sometimes it helps being a bit cheeky and bold.
And well, the technical background I find incredibly interesting. So in your daily work now, what are lessons you learned back then you can exploit and use today, given being a developer by training, that is a very special mindset you're then provided with in university, right?
Yes, so it's when you're working with technology, and also my technical background also helped me in a technical company, because on one hand, of course, I could use it in my work, creating processes and figure out how is everything connected, and how basically when you're developing a software system, you are finding the shortest and most efficient way from A to B to C to D, right? Yeah, and you're finding out what is the clusters, what is the basically what is it called in English? So it's called, where are they everything connected, the big connectors. And how do you make sure that you route things to these connectors, and how do you make sure to connect these things? So this is how you build systems and databases and so forth. And you can do this with everything. It's not only in HR, it's in finance, it's in all functions. So it's very specific education, but it gives you a very special skill if you understand how to bring it into other connections. But it also gave me a very good understanding for our products as a company. So HR is often a bit distant from the company's products, but I actually understood our products, and I also understood our developers and engineers and so forth, the whole challenges that they were sitting with. So I did understand it. Whereas if you had an education as in HRM, you don't understand these things, because it's a world so far away from this. So it has been very, very helpful, and I'm using it constantly every day still. And I'm really, really good at mapping, seeing the processes, mapping them, can do it very fast because I understand this.
Well, when you made that decision back then, what did you take into consideration? Because, well, I think there are many people joining the HR space that, well, have a slightly different background. However, it's a field that's, well, it attracts many people from very different backgrounds. So what were the key metrics you based your decision on? You sound like a very structured, very process-oriented, very fact-driven person. So I was wondering, well, what did drive your decision back then?
Yes, so I think I didn't think much. I just not because obviously I didn't know. I knew HR, but obviously I didn't really knew what they were doing there at that point of time. So I was just seeing that there was an opportunity to make things better, make these processes and the whole workflow of this better. So it was more an opportunity to innovate and optimize. And then I was in it, and then I came to really like it and really enjoy it. And I'm still here now, more than 20 years later. I'm still here. And I also don't see me leave it. I could actually, at this point of time, had taken other moves. I could have went into the operational part of an organization. I could have went into the sales, or just pure leadership. So I actually, there were a point of time in my career where I also thought about it, especially the operational part of taking that move. So I think that 4 or 5 years after I moved into HR, I actually had this discussion with myself if I wanted to continue in HR. And that was at that time where I went to the group function, and then a completely other world opened up for me, because at that time, these years where I was there, it was really operational, right? And when I went into the group function, it became strategic. And that I also liked a lot. so in that sense, I also have on multiple levels, I have a very different HR profile from my position and my career development, because there is the technical thing that's a bit strange. and then there is I actually spend about 50% in a very deeply in the organization, in the operational part, and 50% in the very strategic part. And so you can say, if you would say what is my strength and my skill, that give me an advantage that others maybe don't have, is that I can bring the operational and the strategic together. So if you don't have the strategic part, you're just running a wheel, right? And you're not, you maybe not that much direction. You just continue doing what you always did. If you only have the strategic part, you may also fail, because there are particular things in an organization that's there. You cannot change it. The customers call, you have to be there, you have to do these things. If you don't take care of it, you fail. But you also have to evolve and develop. So, and also need to follow the path that the rest of the world is following, and you should actually also, if you want to make it well as a company, even be the one that sets the trends and at least is in the forefront. So putting these two together is my strength.
How do you balance those two? So I always find it interesting when you talk to people who are strategically very strong. Some of them, they just, well, they make up plans. They have so much going on in their mind. However, then the operational excellence is lagging, and you don't, you don't execute that well. However, other people who are operationally very strong, they then, act, do stuff, are, on the road all the time, not literally, but metaphorically. However, they kind of sometimes lack direction, like the bigger picture. And how do you balance those two?
It's because I design, right? So I'm basically an architecture, right? An architect who design it like that. So when you're working with this strategy, I will design the operational part into the strategy. So it will not only be, oh, we want to reach the stars, we want all these fancy, nice things. So you should have this, and then I design the operational into it. But the thing is that you can't know what you don't know. And that's a fact. So it might be that you think you're good at something, but if you don't know it, you don't know it. And that's just like that, right? And that's where things are failing often, because they might have all the right and good intentions, but if they don't know how the operational part works, they don't know, and they can't design for it. And this is where you get the gap between the strategic and the operational. For my background, I know why we have the strategy, what the advantage is, and where we are why you have it, and how you can move the company. But I also very well know how it is in the operational part. Therefore, I can design for it. And given my technical education, I know how to design it and merge them. So that's why, that's how I do it.
Well, I'm not sure this is the right approach to few people, but that is kind of like how I view people. So people who are operationally very strong, people who are strategically very strong, and ideally those who have balanced this really, really well. And I'm wondering, when you see people on your team that might be very headstrong, hence very strategically, and then other people who might be very good in executing, however, sometimes appear a bit headless. How do you coach them to leverage on their strengths, and then at the same time learn how to work on their deficiencies, or work on what they're lagging in terms of, let's say, strategic perspective or operational excellence?
So my experience is, so I think that in the younger days, I would more like, try to explain, and say, you can see this, and but I learned, I've been part of so many transformations and change management projects during my career, that I also learned is that people have the process of their own. They have their own, process of getting somewhere. So if you try to convince them and force them, they will back off, and they will also stop listening to you. So what I learned is that if you want to change something, people needs to find out themselves and find their own journey, and it might be very different from yours. So the thing you can do is that you can facilitate and help on this journey, but you cannot force this. So that would be on a one-to-one, right? If I were to support you, I would find out, where do you even want to go. It might be that you don't care about the operations. It might also be that you are in a position where you don't need to care about it. So I can say that it's there, but at the end you should have the interest yourself. Then you have on the organizational level and in team level, where they need to, because if you don't, then we have a problem as a company. There I also learned, I've seen so many times that you have checked, implemented, you open the door, throw in a PowerPoint and close the door, and then you say, check, done. But it's not done, right? People are still doing whatever they want. So you're cheating yourself if you think that because you've done some whatever on a town hall or did some education or whatever, you're really cheating yourself if you really think that people are doing it. So there are one way is actually where you can force people with tools and processes to do something, right? So in that way, you're changing the system. You're changing how and where they walk. And if you change your system, your software, there's no way around it, right? so you have to. But if you have a system, have the same system, but now are telling them now you have to do it in a different way, they will not do it. They will do it exactly as they always done. But so there's one way you can force them if you want by changing the environment and the system. There's also another way that if possible, and I'm the biggest fan of, is that you invite those who are open towards the change. So you find someone in the organization who actually wants this change and are ready for it and mature for it. And then you start with them. You call it a pilot. And then you start giving it to them, and then they will become the ambassador. Now they will talk to their employees and say, oh, this is super cool and it's really helping me. And then they will become interested, and then they will come and say, oh, we also want this. So you get some kind of underground going, underground movement going in the organization. From my experience, that's 1,000 times more effective than everything else you can find. So at any time, even how likable you are as either as an HR person or a leader, they will listen to their colleagues over you anytime.
Well, the skill of attracting people to listen to you. How does that help you with challenges you as an organization are facing at the moment with regards to, lots of demand for very highly skilled people, and that trend to become even stronger in the next few years?
I think that this is one of the most difficult things for anyone, no matter what position you're in. If you are an executive or whatever, if you are an executive, you have the advantage of having the stars on the shoulder and people listen to. It doesn't mean that they will do it. They might listen to you, but it doesn't mean that they will do it. It is very difficult. So if you have someone who has a mindset and a behavior that is something that you would like to change, it's super difficult. It might be that they will listen to you, but you can just look at yourself, right? In any situation in life, if you're doing something and somebody comes and tell you, I have a better idea, but you're very strongly committed and think you already have a good idea. Now someone comes and tell you, I have a better idea. It's very difficult to make you change your mind. It might be that you listen, but in your head, you're finding excuses for not doing what I'm saying, right? This is what's going on.
You made your decision already.
You're finding flaws and errors in what I'm saying, and you're finding upsides of your own idea. This is what's going on. And it doesn't matter if it's buying a car or shifting from whatever. This is what's going on. If you have set your mind, it's very difficult to change that. So what I'm doing is that I'm looking at your maturity to change your mind. So what is your maturity in changing your mind for something? And if it's very low, I have to accept that it's low, and then I need to find out how can I make you change your mind, but not just in one session, but over time. And if you look at a typical process for making decisions and changes, is that, and this is by the way why they always fail, almost always fail, not always, but almost always fail, is that the executive team and the decision makers, they might have known this for 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, or even longer. So they have had this maturity process. The organizations get 30 days. Mm-hmm. Then it comes like a big surprise. And then when the 30 days are gone, and then the executive team will sit and say, why didn't they change? This is stupid. And you leaders, you're not doing your work. But they were not mature for it. You didn't give them time to get used to it and start finding good arguments for this instead of what they think already worked, right?
To make tell us a bit about the topics you had in mind when you just spoke about convincing people of the right course of action, one might say. So over some sessions, so what topics come to mind when you applied this strategy?
It depends on what it is, but there are very good change management. There is a change management tool framework called ADKAR, right, where they say you have to have awareness and desire, and then the ability, the whole, and the knowledge, and then so that's also a lining up for having a process for the change. And you can say in many cases, I'm always thinking of this. So how do we make this desirable for people? So if you want to change something you can have people who are sitting and doing the same things for 40 years. And now suddenly some young guy from strategy comes in, or even worse, someone from McKinsey comes in and are telling us what to do. You can imagine
that then, yeah,
they are not buying it, right?
Exactly, yeah.
So and this is a bit back to what I'm saying, is that someone from McKinsey, or someone from some young guy from Harvard or whatever attractive university coming in and telling someone who's doing the job since 25 or 30 years, they are not taking it, right? So you always have to understand who are you talking to and what is it, and you also have to listen to them. They need to have a voice. You have to respect them. I implemented something called SAFE, in an organization. That's a framework for lean agile. And we did it with a team where they have been there. It was engineers, been there since 30, 40 years. And we took the team and we chose this team because the leader was very, very open and really wanted to do it. And I was really thinking, I wonder how this will go and if they would adapt it. Because they had really been working on in their own way since many, many years. In some ways successful, in some way maybe less successful, but still it was very, very high skilled and very experienced people we were tampering with here. So what we did was that we invested in them. So we gave them the education in the framework, really gave it, we certified all of them. We had a coach with them constantly when they were trying out this new framework, new ways of working, and it was a completely new way of running projects, right? And also how to work, and they loved it. And they was just, on. And what actually happened was that they were so excited that they talked to the other colleagues outside this team, and they were actually so big in the demand. We didn't even have the people to take on all the demand that we got. So it's back to understand who you're dealing with, invest in them, let them have time, don't force it. This is for me the recipe of succeeding in change, right? Does this answer your question?
Absolutely, and listening, providing sensible input that helps people understand your perspective. I think that makes amazing sense. And since we talk about change, I'm of course very curious to hear what you think will happen in the HR space over the next few years. So what kind of change are we looking at?
So I think that I think that HR is a bit. First of all, I think that they are not valued enough in the organization. They are often. I might be people don't like it, but they're a bit like the underdog, right? Someone that eat donuts and cakes are just sitting there. They take no risks and just strange people in there. So I've seen in multiple organizations that HR are not getting the respect that they actually deserve. They're a bit like they're behind the curtain, right? They're on the backstage. And nobody really sees all the work that's going on there. They only see it when it's not done, and then they will be there. They will feel it, and so I think that HR for the future needs to really step into the strategic scene, not just for the people agenda, but for the company strategy, and be much closer to the operational part. So I had this analogy that when I was discussing some difficult topics, like you cannot come with fancy stuff if the organization is handling a fire, basically, right? Then come and say, oh, so it's a bit like if you're stuck in the desert. And then you send the HR guy to fetch some help, and he comes back with drinks, right, and cocktails. And
you need water.
We needed water, right? And then you get this, everybody likes cocktails and drinks, but we needed water. So they need to be much closer. It's not that it's wrong, but it's just not the right time, right? So they need to also be much closer to the operations and what's needed right now. And this is why I'm saying you have to balance the company, the corporate strategy and priorities with the operational needs. There have to be a balance, and if it's off balance, you have a problem, right? Then they need to really be, they need to really step into this and be visible, and they also have to show their menu card. Often the menu card is under the table. They also have to be better in showing what are they doing, and how are they actually helping behind the scenes, right, and behind the curtains. They really need to, and that taps into the whole analytic and insights. So starting being much more data driven, much more sure, where are we going, and the results that HR is creating for the company, also much better there. The communication part is super under prioritized in HR and should be super up prioritized. Make sense?
Absolutely, and I think now that we are looking very much at a world where so many tasks can be outsourced to AI. So many, basic tasks can be outsourced to AI. I think the incremental value of people will increase tremendously over the next few years. Therefore, the function that is responsible for people, i.e. HR, will be much more and to a completely new extent more important going forward. So therefore, I couldn't agree more that HR is definitely undervalued, and people spend so much time, for example, on procurement and to how to optimize procurement. Well, the most important asset is people.
Yeah, exactly. But also, as I said, I think that HR are doing a lot of stuff, and it's also when you have a company, when you reach about 70, I think something between 70 and 50 and 75 people, then this is where the problem starts coming, because you don't it gets more and more difficult to manage these people, and when we go above 100, then you really starts getting problems. So HR is actually someone who comes in fairly fast in a young company. You don't have strategy or procurement people at that stage, right? But it is, if you look at the support functions, HR is one of the first ones who comes in a young company, because you need someone to take care of all the core business for an HR function, and then you start building on the more fancy stuff that HR also are able to provide. So they are really important. However, maybe not that good at also showing the value that they are creating for the company. And then it just it's like the customer, right? They will not praise you for your product that is working. They will not. But if you can show them the added value that the product is providing them, then they will start praising you. And it's the same, that HR is a bit too modest and giving the stage to everyone else, right?
Indeed, Charlotte. I couldn't agree more. Thank you so much for your time. I think it's a very important call to everyone in HR to think about how to I do that again. That was shit. Charlotte, thank you so much. It was great talking to you, and I think we all heard your message that the importance of HR will increase over the next few years, and everyone in HR should be very proud on the contribution they make towards the company's development, and we can be very proud of being in that space. Thank you so much again.
Thank you for having me. Have a nice day.
Thank you so much. And well, thanks everyone for listening in, and see you next time.